Minority Leader Rodriguez, you're up.
First off, I'm not a natural public speaker, but bear with me. Also, in addition, all those times I didn't speak on the floor of the legislature, I'm taking it all now, so strap yourself in.
No, we have 3 minutes. We have a 3-minute limit.
Oh, well then, I guess I'll just keep on delivering on the floor. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Majority Leader, Mr. Majority and Minority Whip. I stand here as leader of the Democratic Caucus, the minority party, for now. Last year, I spoke about the challenge of this legislature to step up and govern. I would say, by and large, we've done an adequate job this past year. Not excellent, but adequate. Our adequate is no longer good enough. Competent is no longer good enough. I could stand here and give you a speech that gets into the technicalities of county government, of insider comments that only those on the 6th floor or those that follow us would understand. The banalities of county government could help even the worst insomniac. No, this isn't your granddaddy speech. It's something more personal, more raw. I remember my friend Mark Molinaro saying some 22 years ago, politics is who we are and where we want to be. I'd say we're in pretty bad shape as a country on either front. It begets the question, what are we doing here? Throughout this country, millions of Americans are resisting the changes in their national government. Hundreds to thousands more are organizing here in the Hudson Valley at this moment. More than 200 showed up here last night to speak out in defense of the Affordable Care Act, and more will be coming. County government cannot function in isolation from state and national events. It's not as if we can erect a wall at the borders and say, this doesn't affect us, when hundreds of Ulster County residents stand to lose their health care, maybe even thousands. Sticking our collective heads in the sand is not an appropriate response to what's happening. Now, I'm not suggesting that we somehow become a surrogate Congress or social justice warriors, but clearly we need to adapt to these times. As we look at our agenda for this year, we must address national issues that are affecting us now. The public has a greater expectation of us. We have to expect more of ourselves. While this fight is not of our choosing, we must step up to defend our county, our people. The Democratic agenda for 2017 reflects this in different ways. We are a body of the people. Much has been made of the legislature's memorializing resolutions. Yet these same resolutions inspire more public debate than anything else that we do. As a representative body, it's our job to hear from the public, our job to be their voice. Sometimes it means that voice has to carry beyond the walls of this chamber. Now, I've heard from members that we can accomplish the same effect with a letter. It's true, letters are important, but engaging the public and hearing from them is imperative. These resolutions take up a small amount of time, yet they generate more interest. We cannot muzzle the voice of the public. If members of this body cannot be bothered to listen to our constituents, then we have a bigger problem. This is a county for everyone. We all know what is happening in this country. Millions of undocumented and legal resident aliens are being pushed out of this country. Many own businesses and are productive members of our community. In my own community of New Paltz, a gentleman by the name of Joel Guerrero, a legal resident of this country for 20 years, is in the process of being deported. I assume he's no angel, or else he wouldn't be deported. However, he's a father-to-be and a skilled carpenter gainfully employed. He is now sitting in a detention center in New Jersey while his pregnant wife, who is a native-born American, works overtime to keep him here. And by the way, his brother is a decorated Afghan war veteran for this country. It's terrible that national policies are tearing local families apart right here in Ulster County. There is a sentiment that immigration and human rights are not something for us to address. That would be wrong. We have a proposed human rights law that will come up next month. Myself, legislators Green, Berkey, and Bartels will introduce a proposal based on a Tompkins County resolution to provide protection for all of our residents, regardless of legal status. If I'm in mid-rant, you might throw me off. We have the ability to take action in this legislature. We are not powerless. Protecting all of our residents, including the most vulnerable, must be a priority. Last month, we brought forward a resolution decrying hate speech and the repeal of the ACA, brought up by legislators Berkey and Hector, respectively. I read from each of those resolutions during the course of our debate, and I know, regardless of anyone's politics, that we agree with those sentiments by and large. Legislator Allen has a revised version of the ACA that will include some of its more recent changes proposed by Congress, and I hope it's something we can eventually pass for the sake of all of our constituents. The challenge of this legislature is whether we have the guts to fight, to stand up and to resist. We have the lives of local residents at stake. I'm not here to go and say that we're going to take on the president or Congress, but in our own way, by embracing our local powers, we can affect change. The nuts and bolts of government, this could be the insomniac part. For all of our activism, we cannot forget our role in establishing policies and to provide and approve funding for the government. I know it's important focus for the chairman as well as the whole leadership team. This year, we have a new tool in our arsenal, a true audit committee. And I want to thank everybody in this legislature, Mr. Chairman especially, that we pushed to create that during the course of the budget process. And that audit committee will take a hard look at county operations and contract agencies. This was a major initiative of the last budget, and it's something myself and Legislator Bartels made a priority. I'm disappointed that it's been 3 months and the committee has yet to meet, but I am sure Mr. Gerentine, the Chair of Ways and Means, will convene this meeting presently. It is my understanding that the Chair of the Legislature, Mr. Ronk, will be hiring a new financial staffer, one who has a CPA and has municipal audit experience. It is my hope we can get these pieces in place over the next 30 days. If not, we will only be not only defending the public, but ourselves. Our role in oversight and policy is not always the most exciting, but it's necessary. For example, I know legislators Briggs and Bartels are a bit of an odd couple, but they're both sort of a perfect yin and yang to strike a balance in formulating a take-home vehicle policy. It's a necessary step to ensure the county fleet is maintained while protecting the taxpayers' investment. Legislators Berkey and Bartels will also be working on establishing a communications policy this year to help facilitate when this body gets information. For too long, we've had issues when we were informed by the executive branch or agencies. To be clear, I am not suggesting the executive is not being open. The opposite, but we do clearly have issues of when information gets to our side of the building. That's kind of silly considering our offices are located right next door. This may involve changing the resolution deadline, for example, to allow legislators more time to ask questions. For example, this past month, the deadline was on February 22nd, which was a Wednesday. The resolutions were posted Friday, which is February 24th, and indeed, the clerk did an amazing job getting those resolutions posted. Thank you so much for that. But even when Vicky is doing her job at top notch, at the end of the day, the committee meeting started on Monday, February 27th. So legislators basically had between Friday, approximately 2 p.m., to Monday to be able to go ask department heads or ask the deputy county executives any questions they may have, especially if they had committee meetings that particular night. That clearly is not enough time before committee meetings to do our jobs, unless we want to ask everyone to work weekends. In addition, I know legislators Berkey and Bartels will continue to work on developing an appointments policy that opens up our appointments process and this legislature's role in it. I'd also like to take a moment to congratulate the chairman and the clerk on our new appointments website, a valuable addition to opening up county government. Thank you. Developing a future worth fighting for. All of our hard work to keep taxes down, to create an efficient government, is for naught if we allow it to fall apart from within. The Democratic caucus will push for new initiatives for housing, for economic development, for land preservation, and healthcare. We're blessed with many members of unique backgrounds on the Democratic side. No offense to my Republican colleagues. I know you guys have interesting and unique backgrounds yourselves. But for example, my friend Jim DeLon is the executive director of the Orange County Land Trust. There's nothing like having an expert in the field to provide oversight and guidance on these kinds of projects. Legislator DeLon will be working with the administration and local land trusts on preserving some of our local farmland right in our own backyard. He'll be running point this year on pushing for a greater county commitment to our farmers and working with our planning department as we finish a vital rail trail connection between the towns of Lloyd and New Paltz, something we share with legislators Mayo and Litz. That's how I say your name, right?
Yeah.
So the governor's proposed Empire Trail will benefit from the hard work of this legislature and our county executive. The years of dedication to rail trails will truly pay off. Speaking of planning, our own Jennifer Schwartz-Berkey will be working with legislator John Parity on examining the creation of a housing trust fund for Ulster County. We all know that we lack affordable housing options. Creating seed money for affordable housing project is a first step towards a real change in the housing market. Helping working families stay in Ulster has to be a top priority for all legislators, and I want to thank you, as well as Legislator Parity, who just came in. I just thanked you as well. So, regardless, thank you for taking this on. All these tie back to economic development in this county, something we obsess over here in Ulster County. I am pleased the county is attempting to take advantage of some of our unique features, such as promoting film in the county, or working with techpreneurs, as well as local farms producing value-added food products. But we still have miles to go to a truly sustained economic success. While I understand the administration is reluctant to produce a comprehensive economic plan, at a minimum, this legislature must create criteria for measuring economic success in the county. It cannot and will not be a blank check handed over to the EDA or to the Economic Development Department. Indeed, the administration needs to know if our expectations as a legislature are not met, we will be voting no on future allocations. However, I also want to make note that Legislator Jim Maloney, our vice chair, who's also the chair of Economic Development, as well as Chairman Ronk, have been supportive of keeping the executive and keeping all of us on point. And I think coming to a very reasonable compromise. I want to thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for that. And Mr. Chairman. My good friend Pete Lauren has long said, we must do something about Tech City. From almost the day I got elected back in 2003, Mr. Lauren has steadfastly, and some may say annoyingly, maintained the county's largest industrial parcel must be put back to use. I know Pete has several issues about that site that he'll bring up during the course of the year, and maximizing its economic potential is our shared goal, one that will take a total effort by the executive and legislature. All of these efforts won't mean much if we can't combat the terror within. I know legislators Hefner, Briggs, and Parity will continue their efforts on law enforcement and UCAN respectively to combat this growing problem. It's not a matter of locking people up. We need real solutions to helping people. It's about healing, not stigmatizing. So what does this all mean? So besides checking off a to-do list, I want to address what it means to be a Democratic legislator. For our part, it means listening to our constituents, to both the problems within our control and those that aren't. It means striking a balance between activism on our community and taking a sober look at how to improve our own government. It means asking hard questions about county operations and advocating on behalf of our constituents. I want to take a second about operations. We are very lucky to have a county executive as skilled as my kind. Yes, he can be maddeningly frustrating to deal with. I suspect his administration will finish off whatever hair I have left on my head. However, his skill and leadership are a big part of our collective success. There are times I think he forgets us, or he forgets that he's part of a longer-term trend in reforming government, but it is without question his unique management ability that's helped Ulster County become what it is today. The forum last night on the ACA was remarkable, not only in its timing, but in how quickly it was arranged. I give my deepest gratitude to the executive and his staff for pulling it together. That said, the executive should not expect this legislature to roll over. We will follow the adage of trust but verify. As we move forward as a county, on a county family court facility at the BRC, he can expect this body to fulfill its obligations to provide oversight. Within the legislature, the Republican side can expect the Democratic side to resist the erosion in our quality of life, to resist national or state policies that hurt our residents. They can expect us to defend the weak and those most vulnerable. Now, I know many, but not all legislators share a Judeo-Christian faith. Even those that don't embrace those faiths have some familiarity with them. I close with a small part of Leviticus, chapter 19, verses 33 to 34. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were a foreigner in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. not to deliver a sermon, but we have been foreigners in the past. We've all been foreigners. We all have families that suffered. I was lucky to have been born an American. I believe we have an obligation to treat those less fortunate with the same compassion as all of our residents. As we work on our local issues, we shall also confront the national ones. Ulster County shall be that small bright star in a much larger America. Let us do these things together. Thank you.